There is a medical case that shouldn't exist. A man lost his right eye, yet later claimed he could still see through it. Doctors examined him. Witnesses documented the case. A priest had warned him before the accident. And decades later, people are still asking the same question. What really happened? If this were only one man's story, it would probably have been forgotten long ago. But it wasn't. Because the people connected to this case included surgeons, hospital staff, family members, and one of the most controversial religious figures of the 20th century, Padre Pio. For some, this became proof of a miracle. For others, it remained an unexplained testimony. Our purpose isn't to force either conclusion. It's to follow the evidence, the witnesses, and the events step by step. Because somewhere inside this story, there is a detail that almost everyone overlooks. That forgotten detail didn't happen in the hospital. It happened 3 days earlier. Long before anyone spoke about blindness, healing, or miracles. It began with a sentence repeated every morning. Always to the same man. Always by the same priest. Be courageous, Giovanni. I'm asking the Lord not to let you die. The first time Giovanni smiled politely. The second time he became uneasy. By the third morning he could no longer ignore it, because he had no idea why anyone would say such a thing. Tomorrow he would find out. February. San Giovanni Rotondo. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary morning. Workers gathered before sunrise. Tools were loaded. Another day of construction was about to begin. Nothing seemed unusual, except for one man. Giovanni Savino couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. For 3 consecutive mornings, the same priest had stopped him before work, embraced him, and repeated exactly the same words. Be courageous. I'm asking the Lord not to let you die. No explanation. No prophecy. No further conversation. Just those words. Years later, people would remember the explosion. But almost no one asks another question. Why didn't Giovanni stay home? If someone looked you in the eyes and repeated that warning 3 days in a row, would you still go to work? He asked himself the same question. And for a moment he almost turned back. As the workers walked toward the construction site, Giovanni finally spoke. I don't think we should work today. Some smiled. Others laughed. One of them simply replied, nothing is going to happen. History is full of moments that seem insignificant until we know how they end. This was one of them. The task was simple. A massive rock blocked the foundation. The solution was dynamite. Giovanni had done this kind of work before. He carefully placed the explosive beneath the stone, lit the fuse, then stepped back with the others. Everyone waited. 1 second. 5. 10. Nothing. No explosion. Only silence. Someone finally whispered. The fuse must have failed. Now there was another problem. Someone had to go back. No one moved. Giovanni looked at the rock. Then at his companions. Without saying a word, he started walking. Every step carried him toward a decision that would be remembered for decades. He knelt beside the charge. Leaned closer. Reached out his hand, trying to understand why the dynamite hadn't ignited. Then, without warning, the mountain exploded. The blast threw him through the air. Dust swallowed everything. The workers couldn't even see where he had fallen. For several long seconds, no one knew whether Giovanni Savino was still alive. When the dust finally settled, the real mystery hadn't begun yet. It would begin the moment the doctors looked at his face. The workers reached Giovanni within seconds. He was still breathing. Barely. His face was covered in blood, dust, and fragments of stone. No one at the construction site could fully understand the extent of his injuries. But everyone understood one thing. He needed help immediately. News spread quickly through the small town. Among those who responded was Dr. Guglielmo Sanguinetti, a physician who knew Padre Pio personally. Together with 2 Capuchin friars, he helped transport Giovanni to the hospital in Foggia. The journey was tense. No one spoke about recovery. They were simply hoping he survived. When the medical team began examining him, the atmosphere changed. The injuries were worse than anyone expected. According to the testimonies preserved from the time, multiple physicians examined Giovanni's eyes. Their assessments pointed in the same direction. The right eye appeared to have been destroyed. The left eye, although severely injured by fragments of stone, seemed to be the only possible source of vision. If any vision could be saved at all. At that moment, there was no reason to expect anything else. Dr. Sanguinetti left the hospital and returned to San Giovanni Rotondo. Waiting there was Giovanni's wife, Rosa. Pregnant, anxious, praying for news. The doctor did not try to soften the situation. He told her that her husband was alive, but that his eyesight appeared to be lost. For any family, that would have been devastating enough. But the story was only beginning. Later, the doctor spoke with Padre Pio. He explained the injuries as clearly as medicine allowed. The friar listened without interrupting. Then quietly asked a question that no one in the room knew how to answer. "Are you certain?" Just 3 words. No prediction. No dramatic declaration. Only a question. One that would become impossible to forget. During the days that followed, Giovanni remained in the hospital, drifting in and out of consciousness. Meanwhile, several witnesses from the monastery later recalled that Padre Pio spent long periods in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. Some testimonies also attribute to him these words. "Lord, I offer one of my eyes for Giovanni, because he is the father of a family." Whether one understands those words as an act of profound faith, or simply as part of the historical testimony surrounding the case, they reveal how deeply Giovanni's suffering affected the friar. 10 days passed. The swelling began to subside. The doctors prepared to remove the bandages. They believed they already knew what they would find. What they did not know was that this examination would become the most discussed moment in the entire story. 10 days after the explosion, the hospital room was unusually quiet. The swelling had gone down enough. The bandages could finally be removed. For the doctors, this was only a routine examination, a confirmation of what they already believed they knew. For Giovanni, it felt like the moment his future would be decided. According to Giovanni's own testimony, something had happened during the previous night. Unable to sleep, he quietly prayed the rosary. Then he noticed something unusual. A sweet fragrance slowly filled the room. One unlike anything he had ever smelled before. Moments later, he felt 3 gentle taps on his forehead. He opened his eyes. No one was there. Desperate, he whispered a simple prayer. "Padre Pio, either give me back my sight, or let me die." Whether one believes that experience was supernatural, or understands it as Giovanni's personal testimony, everyone agrees on what happened next. Because by morning, the doctors were standing beside his bed, ready to begin the examination. The ophthalmologist carefully unwrapped the bandages. His attention was focused entirely on the left eye. That was the eye medicine still hoped might respond. Giovanni blinked, looked toward the window, then around the room. A smile slowly appeared on his face. "Doctor?" he said quietly. "I can see." For a brief moment, the physician smiled too. Perhaps the left eye had recovered after all. But then Giovanni added 6 words that completely changed the room. "I'm seeing with my right eye." Silence. The doctor immediately began examining him again. Carefully. Methodically. The left eye, the one everyone expected to save, showed no useful vision. The right eye, the one described after the accident as destroyed, was the eye Giovanni insisted he was using. The physician repeated the examination. Again. And again. No one spoke. Not because they understood what was happening, but because they didn't. According to the historical testimonies preserved over the years, Giovanni continued throughout his life to say that he could see through that injured right eye. The external damage never completely disappeared. Yet those who followed the case maintained that his vision remained. Dr. Sanguinetti himself would later describe the event as something that profoundly changed him. Whether every detail can still be verified today is a question historians continue to discuss. But one fact is undeniable. This story refused to disappear. For decades, it continued to be told, studied, questioned, and remembered. Not because it solved every mystery, but because it created one. Most people hear this story and immediately ask, was it a miracle? But after spending time with the testimonies, the documents, and the people involved, I found myself asking a different question. Why are we so uncomfortable with mystery? We usually believe there are only two possible answers. Either we can explain everything, or we reject everything. But perhaps faith has never lived comfortably in either extreme. Perhaps faith begins when we are humble enough to admit that reality is sometimes larger than our explanations. Whether you see Giovanni Savino's story as a miracle, or as one of the most extraordinary testimonies connected to Padre Pio, its deepest message may have nothing to do with an eye. It may be this: hope should never be buried too quickly, because the future has surprised humanity before, and it may surprise us again. Before you leave, I'd like to ask you something simple. After hearing this story, what one word stayed with you? Faith, hope, prayer, courage, mercy, or perhaps another word that God placed on your heart today? Write it in the comments. And if someone's comment speaks to you, encourage them with a simple Amen. You never know how one sentence can strengthen another person's faith. Thank you for joining us. May God bless you, and we'll see you on the next journey.